What's up, YouTube? In today's video, I'm going to be watching the story of a legendary striker who retired at 28 years old, Marco van Basten. Now, I just finished watching a highlight compilation of him actually playing the game. And what I noticed in that compilation was his positioning on the pitch. He was able to get in such position to put in a header, an accurate header, or a strike in the box. He was just looked magical at finding the right place to be at the right time to finish off a strike. Absolutely an amazing compilation video. Those kinds of videos get serially claimed on YouTube through copyright infringement. And so if you want to check out that highlight video, it's available exclusively on Patreon. My Patreon's literally only $1 US dollar a month. So, I mean, it's basically pennies. So if you'd like to see some videos that get blocked on YouTube, I'm uploading highlight videos of every player that I'm running down this list. I'm going to be uploading highlight videos over on Patreon for Patreon supporters, and I'm going to keep the story videos, the reacting to the players and their storylines and all of that, that's going to be free here on YouTube just like normal. So let's get into this. This is another, once again, Daily Dose of Football. He is the GOAT of my channel right now. I've been reacting to Daily Dose of Football in pretty much most of these reaction videos because he's just done a video on every player. So here we go.
In 1982, Johan Cruyff came off the pitch as Ajax led by 2 against NEC. He would be substituted by a 16-year-old striker who was making his professional debut and would score only a few minutes later. He wouldn't play again that season, but by the next one, he would be in heavy contention to steal European Golden Boot winner Wim Kift's spot in the starting 11. By then, Ajax fans would realize they would be yelling out his name a lot for the next few seasons. That young boy was Marco van Basten.
Marco van Basten.
As Kieft left, Van Basten would fully take on the role as the main striker for the team, and the 18-year-old at the time would show himself to be not only fit for the job, but extraordinary at it. His numbers would rise like very few had before him.
Like I said,
that first season,
that positioning.
he would get 31 goals in 32 matches in all competition.
It's just like the man found the right spot to be every time he was on the pitch, and he could score a goal.
Scoring a goal every 80 minutes in the league. One thing that I think is very interesting about his first season is how most of his goals came at the beginning and at the end of the season. I understand this is a very peculiar stat to bring up, but listen to me. Out of his 28 league goals, 12 came in the first 7 matches and 9 out of his last 3. Wow. Meaning that between these 2 amazing goal-scoring streaks, he only managed 7 goals in 16 matches. Don't really know what to take from all that.
That's weird.
Although it was weird enough that...
That is actually really weird. 9 goals in 3 matches at the end of the season. I mean, that's like what, 3 hat tricks? Unless he had an even higher output. It's amazing.
It stood out to me. The first thing I thought was that perhaps the draw was distributed in a way so that he would play the worst teams at the beginning and end of the season, but that is quickly debunked as you notice that he scored a hat-trick against Feyenoord, who were league champions that season. That year, despite Van Basten finishing as the highest goal scorer in the league by a large margin, Ajax would only finish 3rd and not win any other competition, as they were perhaps missing the great Johan Cruyff, who left the club the previous season. The next season would be slightly different, as despite Van Basten performing a bit worse at individual level, they would win the league and he would once again be its top scorer. I think the most impressive part of that season was that Van Basten, despite being eliminated of the UEFA Cup on the 2nd round, would finish only 2 goals behind the top scorer of the competition. This all becomes even more impressive as you realize that he only scored in 1 match, which, as you might imagine, was a very unusual one. As Ajax, after seeing both teams fail to score in the first leg against Red Boys de Verdange, a team coming out of Luxembourg, would completely destroy...
I don't know what that was going on in the background track. That messed me up. I don't know what was happening. If he chose a song that had some woman talking on it, that was crazy. That was confusing.
Them in a 14-0 win where Marco van Basten would score 5. These might have been the 2 most unbalanced legs.
Wait, okay, we can't just... sorry I talked and paused. A 14-0 win where he scored 5 goals?
5. These might have been the Boys de Verdange, a team coming out of Luxembourg, would completely destroy them in a 14-0 win where Marco van Basten would score 5. These might have been the two most unbalanced legs in a UEFA matchup of all time. It's honestly hard to comprehend how this even happened.
That is unbelievable.
The next season would be one of his most exceptional, as he would score 37 goals in only 26 league matches, scoring in 73% of them, even scoring 6 against Sparta Rotterdam.
Wow!
And only going 2 consecutive games without scoring in the league once all year. This would award him his first and only European Golden Boot. Despite this, once again, Ajax would not win the league and be knocked out of the Europa Champions Cup very early.
Wow.
In what seems like too little to honor Van Basten for his incredible season, Ajax would at least win the Dutch Cup. Regardless, at individual level, this would mark another great milestone for Van Basten, as by the end of the year, he would be nominated for his first ever Ballon d'Or at the age of 22. The next season would be his last at Ajax, but also his best. With 43 goals in 43 matches, Van Basten would lead Ajax to their most successful season since the Cruyff era. As despite once again failing to win the league, despite Van Basten's immense contribution of 30 league goals, they would take part in the Cup Winners' Cup, where Van Basten, despite missing out on being the tournament's top scorer to his teammate John Bosman, would be very essential as he would score the only goal in the final, one of the 6 he scored across the competition's 9 matches. But as coming clutch in one final wasn't enough for him, it would also be immense in the Dutch Cup. As Ajax went into extra time, he would score not once but twice to bring the trophy home, as he totaled 7 goals in 6 matches in the competition. These amazing performances would earn him a transfer to what seemed to be the next big step in his career, AC Milan. Everyone was expecting Van Basten to dominate the league, and after 5 matches he had already struck the net 3 times, but then disaster struck as he would injure his ankle and have to go through surgery, only coming back 6 months later after missing 24 matches. Regardless, by the end of the season, despite only managing 9 goals, the struggling striker would add the Serie A to his trophy cabinet. By the end
Dude, I love Daily Dose of Football. He's an amazing content creator. You can tell he's gotten better over the years, because why are you using music with talking in the background? Sorry, it's frustrating me.
Of the club season, the Euro would be played, and despite his lasting problems with injury, Van Basten would be called to represent the Netherlands at the Euro 1988. He would come onto the first match as a sub, only taking part in 31 minutes of the match as he would watch his own nation lose against the Soviet Union. On the second match, he would be selected onto the starting 11, and despite not playing the full match once again, he would score all 3 goals that day as they beat England. After a lackluster third match against Ireland, the Netherlands were through to the final stages where they played Germany. After a penalty for each of the sides, the game seemed to be going into extra time, but then Van Basten scored 2 minutes before the end to get the Netherlands to the final. There, they would face the Soviet Union, the only team that had defeated them in the tournament so far. Nerves were on all-time highs, but once again, on the 32nd minute, Van Basten would assist Ruud Gullit and put them in front. This lead would be increased by no other than Van Basten himself, as he scored in the second half to ensure that they would be crowned champions of Europe. An amazing comeback in what seemed like a lost year after that injury, but he would not stop here, as he would come back to Italy with all the strength needed to score 12 times for the club before the end of the year, and secure an unimaginable first Ballon d'Or by the end of the year. The remainder of the season would be...
I'm so intrigued by how a player of this caliber is out of football by the age of 28. That's just... This dude is on a meteoric, historic pace, and he's retired before 30.
Equally impressive, as he would score against every team they faced in the European Champions Cup, including their only goal against Werder Bremen, 2 goals against Real Madrid, and 2 in the final against Steaua Bucharest. As he would win it for the first time and would finish as the top scorer of the competition with an impressive 10 goals. During the start of the next season, it would constantly come clutch against some of the best teams in Europe, scoring against the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, Inter and Roma, all in the span of a little more than a month, as he would take home the European Super Cup and the Intercontinental Cup before making it out of the group stage of the Champions League. This spectacular start to the season would once again be enough to settle him as the best player in the world, as he would win the Ballon d'Or for a second consecutive time. The remainder of the season would be very similar to the previous one, with AC Milan missing on the league despite Van Basten being the top scorer, but going on to win the Champions League as he scored a goal against every team he faced in the competition, except for Benfica in the final, as AC Milan would win by a single goal by Frank Rijkaard. This year, Van Basten would not even be nominated to the Ballon d'Or, as the Netherlands would get knocked out of the World Cup in their first match, something that would take the spotlight of his performances, something which would only be made even worse by his shockingly poor performances over the next season, which we now know were due to his falling out with manager Arrigo Sacchi.
Really?
Once this whole mess was over, it was time for Van Basten to get back on track, and so he did, scoring 25 times in 31 league matches.
There we
At
go.
a point in the season, even managing 20 goals in 20 consecutive matches. These amazing performances would get the team back into the Champions League as they would finally win the
20 goals in 20 consecutive matches. I don't think that's what he meant. I think he meant he scored a goal in 20 consecutive matches. Because if he scored 20 goals in 20 consecutive matches, we're looking at easily the greatest of all time, and no one ever will compare to that. 20, yeah.
the league again. In the summer, Van Basten would take part in the Euro 1992, where they would defeat the reigning champions West Germany in the group stage before being knocked out in the semi-finals by Denmark. Despite Van Basten not scoring a single goal, he would be part of the team of the tournament. His start to the next season showed us a Van Basten that seemed to be a level above what we had seen from him until now, scoring 19 goals in the first 14 matches of the season, including 4 against Napoli, 4 in the Champions League against Gothenburg, and 3 against Pescara, as he saved Milan from dropping points, securing
was just a
single
goal-scoring
advantage with his third
machine.
goal. By the end of the year, he would be awarded his third Ballon d'Or at the age of 28.
3 Ballon d'Ors by 28. And not only that, those numbers, that's video game level numbers. That's FIFA career mode numbers. That's FIFA career mode on amateur numbers. Actually, no, you can score like 8 goals a game on amateur. But still, that's ridiculous. 3 Ballon d'Ors by 28.
It seemed like the future held many more awards for Van Basten, as he seemed to be in some of the best form of his career and had just tied Cruyff and Platini, with 3 Ballon d'Ors each, to be the player with the most of these awards by that period. What I willingly left out was that as he was attending the Ballon d'Or ceremony, he was also recovering from another ankle surgery, as he had injured himself again just 8 days before. This time he would miss another 24 matches before coming back in time to fulfill his dream of playing another Champions League final. By the 86th minutes, as AC Milan were trailing 1 goal behind Marseille, Basile Boli would tackle Van Basten brutally, and 1 month after being back to playing football, Van Basten would blow out his ankle once more. He would spend an entire year on the sidelines watching AC Milan win another Champions League without him, hopeful that he would be able to take part in the 1994 World Cup. When it came time to wear the orange shirt once again, it was worn it would most likely end his career. So he gave in, and after another season on the sidelines, he would announce to the fans at San Siro that it was time to let go and end his career, playing his last match at the age of 28, in a time where he was the current Ballon d'Or holder. His coach, Fabio Capello, would break down and cry as he watched his star player go down in the worst way possible.
Man.
Who could have guessed that as Van Basten picked up his third Ballon d'Or, we would only ever see him score once more. Elegant, smart, powerful, agile, the Swan of Utrecht will never be forgotten.
All right. Unbelievable player. I don't even know how to put into words how amazing and ridiculous those numbers are. 3 Ballon d'Ors by the time he's 28 years old. I mean, we're looking at could have been the greatest to ever play if his career had just had the longevity of some of these other guys. Wow. Marco Van Basten. Like I said, I did do a reaction video to his highlights. You can find that on Patreon. $1 US a month to get access to highlight videos that are blocked on YouTube. And I'll also be doing some like football movie stuff for the $5 award rewards. But anyway, Go over there on Patreon. You'll be able to pick this up and see the highlights if that's something that you're interested in. Also, there's merch on the channel if you're interested in that. So I'll see you guys in the next video.